Let me share with you 3 of my best all-time driver videos. You know, driving doesn't have to be that complicated, especially when you get some of the secrets that I'm going to share with you here. Let's go and get started. Oh man, hitting those fades can really be frustrating. It takes some distance off your drives. You could swing really hard like I did on that one. That drive could have gone a really long way, but because I'm swinging across that ball or to the left, it's a glancing blow. That energy isn't going through the golf ball like I'm hitting it with a hammer. It's kind of slapping across the golf ball. So if we take a look at my flight scope numbers there, if I look at the path or the direction, and this is just measuring this right when my club is moving through contact, if I look at my path, I'm going to see that was 7.7 to the left. Now, I like to see with pro players, anything being under 3 or the path being under 3 degrees of 0 or dead straight through the ball. Anything under 2 is phenomenal. Now, there's a great way to see if you're doing this without having an $18,000 launch monitor. It's a really easy way to do this, which I'm going to get to, and I'm also going to give you a really simple drill, the most simple way to get your path going more to the right so you'll hit those straighter shots. But first, how do we know if we're doing this? How do we know if we're going pretty straight through the ball? Well, a good rule of thumb, if my ball is curving more than say 5 or 10 yards with a driver, then I'm too far off with the path. So if my ball starts down the left center and it fades like that one did, almost 15, 20 yards or so from left center to right center, or let's go even more than this. Let's really have a big over the top type slice. We're gonna see there, that one really moved. I don't even know if it'll pick that up in the flight scope here. That ball ended up in the middle of the fairway, but it really slung out there. The path on that one was 16.8 to the left. That's that big over the top across the ball. You'll notice that even though I'm swinging really fast, 117 miles an hour, which is really fast, you can drive it well over 300 yards doing that. I'm only carrying that ball about 214. So if you see more than 5 or 10 yards curve from left to right on the ball, your path is too much to the left. We need to straighten that out. So we've heard all the tips. We got to shallow the club. We use the wrist. We swing from the inside. We get the club in the slot. We have our weight distribution, our feet, all these things that you could be working on. What's the number one thing that I see the easiest way to get that path more to the right? And it's your hips. Here's exactly what I mean by this. If I set up, and you'll see on my original video, those last 2, I would set up and it's like my upper body. So if I hung a golf club from my shirt buttons here, it's going to be in front of my belt buckle, meaning that my body is tilted almost a little bit to the left at address. Now this is setting me up in a way to where now my hips are behind my upper body, and it's really easy to swing to the left when I'm doing this. If I want to get an inside out path, if I want to swing more to the right so that I can hit that nice draw, I need to reverse this. And here's the way that I would think about this. A lot of times I'll see players struggle when they think about taking their hips. So this is the direction my hips are facing. If you look at my belt buckle here, they think about taking their hips and bumping them forward and bumping their upper body back and keeping everything straight to the ball. I want you to actually turn your hips a little bit when you're doing this, or close your hips. So as I line up here, not only do I want my hips in front, but I also want to get them a little bit more pointing to the right. So what I mean by this, if I stuck a club out of my belt buckle, if there's a laser coming out of my belt buckle, I'm going to turn my hips so those are facing back this way a little bit more. What that does is that sets my body up in a position now where it's much easier to swing from the inside. If my hips are going this way and I'm open, now I'm going to swing to the left. So grab your hips. I got a really easy step-by-step drill to do here to make you be able to feel completely comfortable while you're doing this. Put a club across your belt buckle or across your hips. I want you to feel like that club is pointing to the right like this when you set up. So go ahead and let your hips do this. Drop down with your hands and arms, and we'll see now how I'm very much tilted. This is exaggerated, but you'll see how my shirt buttons are behind my belt buckle, and you'll see how I'm a little closed off now where I can come more from the inside. Now another key to this, I can't get in this position very easily if my weight is on my left foot. We really want to have the weight shifting to your right foot very early in the backswing, and if I want to make a path more to the right, it's a lot easier if I put a little weight on my right side. You'll see how naturally that gets my hips a little more closed, that gets my upper body tilted back a little more, if my weight is a little bit favoring my right side at address. If my weight is favoring my left-sided address, that's gonna wanna make me open. And if I try to close my hips and have my weight to the left, it's gonna feel super awkward. I feel like I can't even do it at all. So go ahead and do 5 or 10, a little weight to the right, closing the hips, then just let your arms hang down and do a practice swing. So 5 or 10 practice swings, really coming inside out. Now from there, let's go ahead and try to hit a ball while we're doing this. A little bit of a hip bump, weight's on my right side, my chest is to the right of my belt buckle, and this is closed here. The biggest part, I want that a little bit closed at address to aid in that inside out path. Let's see if I can get that path tilted a little bit more to the right now. There we go. See, that was a nice little draw there. And because I got those hips bumped, that makes it a lot easier to do that. So if I look at my flight scope numbers here, that ball drew just a yard or two. Really, really nice. Ideally, that's what we want to have. Very small amounts of curve on the ball. And we'll see my club path was 3.9 to the right. So almost exactly where I want it. Remember, anything under 3 is really good. So we saw that one, very little curve on it, right down the middle of the fairway, nice little draw, and I'm right there, right around 3. Remember before, I was carrying the ball 214 on my big slice, swinging 117 miles an hour. That one, I swung a little bit faster, 119 miles an hour, but the carry distance went all the way up to 304. So 90 yards farther by not swinging harder, not being more athletic, but just adjusting how I was set up so I could come more squarely through the ball and deliver all the club's energy straight through the ball versus slapping or going across it. We've been taught the wrong way to stop slicing. I mean, think about it. How many times have you come across a tip, you've tried it out to try to improve your slice and it simply hasn't worked? Now, you're a great athlete. I guarantee you that if you were taught the right way, you'd be able to fix your slice just like that. So what is it about the traditional way of trying to stop the slice that doesn't work? We're going to get into that, and then we're also going to talk about my very simple 4-step process. When you follow this, it's the quickest, easiest way to improve your slice. It really works like magic. So why does the traditional method of not slicing not work? Well, what's happening when you slice is you're coming a little bit over the top, or your swing path is coming out and your club is moving right to left across the ball. Now I'm exaggerating there, you may not be doing it this much, but that club is moving from right to left across this golf ball. Now when you do this, you're keenly aware that you have to have your face open. If this face isn't open, that ball's gonna go a mile to the left. So if I'm coming over the top and I release the face, that ball's going straight out of bounds left, right? So I'm not gonna do that. Again, you're a good athlete, your body senses this, so you hold that face open as you swing to the left. That allows the ball to start kind of down the left side of the fairway and then fade into the fairway. And when you do it well, it's right in the middle of the fairway. You lose a little bit of yardage doing that, but you can still hit some good shots. Every once in a while, it goes a little bit haywire, you lose even more yardage, you don't hit it very solid, you end up to the right or to the left. It can really cause a lot of problems in your golf swing. Now the traditional way of saying stop the slice is by saying let's swing more inside out or to the right. Get that inside out path, get this club in the slot here as we're making the downswing. The problem with that is as a slicer, you're aware that the face always needs to be open. Remember, if I swing to the left and I release the face, that ball's going out of bounds. So by being used to having that face open, now when you swing inside out, that ball not only starts to the right in the right rough, but then it still slices. We haven't gotten rid of the slice, and it's a terrible shot to the right. Well, again, being the athlete you are, you realize that's not what you want to do, so you start going back to that over the top again to get the ball back out in the fairway. So it's kind of a never-ending cycle between trying to swing inside out, it not working, and then going back to what you're comfortable with. We're going to break that process today. Now, one thing that nobody else in any of their programs have, and you've probably seen a ton of slicing programs. I've seen a lot lately charging $97 to teach you how to fix your slice. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to charge you anything. You're going to get all for free here today. But they're still missing something in those programs. It's the way that your body naturally learns. It's called interleaving practice, and it's one of the most studied topics in motor learning. I'm going to talk about that in my 4-step process, and I'll tell you what, if you follow along with these drills, it doesn't take hardly any time at all, and you're never going to slice again. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're about to jump into this 4-step process, but before we do, we really have to understand why we're doing these 4 steps. If we don't understand the why, what's going to happen is we'll try these out, we'll forget about it a couple days later, we'll be right back slicing again. I want you to eliminate the slice forever, and understanding the why is a big piece of that. So piece number 1 is going to be controlling this club face. You remember that I said when you're coming over the top, traditionally you have to have that club face open to be able to get that ball to start toward the fairway and not go way left if you're coming over the top like that. So you're very used to having the face open. What we're gonna do is we're gonna employ a technique called interleaving. It's also called random practice or variable practice. It's been highly studied in motor learning. And what you're trying to do here is you're trying to feel the extremes. So we already are used to having the extreme of having the face open. Now I need to have the extreme of really closing that face and having it super closed. I got a couple easy tips that are gonna get you to close that face really to the extreme. Now, when that's happening, balls are gonna go directly left, and that's a good thing. We have to get those balls going way left so that now when we do step 2, which is gonna be swinging more inside out, now it's gonna make sense of why we'd wanna swing inside out. So when you swing inside out now, you're gonna be releasing that face. It's gonna start to the right side of the fairway and then draw back in to the middle of the fairway. You're gonna have more speed and power because you're gonna have less loft coming into the club. It's gonna really, the ball's gonna pop off the face. It's gonna be way better. So again, we're gonna employ interleaving practice there. We already know how to swing to the left, but we're gonna go really extreme and swing way to the left so we can feel that extreme. We're gonna go really extreme, swing way to the right so that we can feel that. That's the fastest way to learn. Using those interleaving techniques will take days and weeks off your practice versus hours. You can really change it like that if you use this. The third step is gonna be getting to the ball. We're gonna talk about why there's a problem when I use my inside out technique, my inside out swing. Now all of a sudden it's difficult for me to get to the ball for what I'm used to. And there's a specific way you move your body, some specific drills to be able to reach the ball so you feel comfortable hitting it with some power. And then finally, the fourth step is we're gonna take that hook that we've developed, really starting that ball down the right rough and drawing it back, big time right to left curve, and we're gonna tone that down to a draw. You follow these 4 steps and the whys, then you'll never struggle with that slice again. All right, so now we're ready for the fun part. Let's jump right in here. Let's learn the first piece, which is controlling that face. Now, if I can get the face to open as much as I want and close as much as I want and really get those extremes, now I have control over this club face. I can get it to do whatever I want it to do. That's the goal of this. That's why we're going to these extremes, so we can feel both ways. Now, you're already comfortable having the face open. So I want you to feel that even more extreme. Now, I'm not gonna hit this one very hard because it's gonna go right into the pond here, but I want you to make a little mini swing. You could use a driver. You could even do this with a 6 or 7 iron if you want to. We don't have to do this with a driver. If you feel a little bit more comfortable, you can start with that, then move to the driver, which is a little longer, not as easy to hit. But I'm gonna feel like the face is wide open. So as you swing, I wanna feel like the face is pointing directly to the right, and I'm just gonna hit a little 30 or 40 yard shot, and you can see that ball shot off to the right. I still hit it in the water, lost the golf ball, but that's all right. So the second piece here, and we're gonna alternate these. We're gonna do 10 swings, 10 swings each, so 20 total swings. In the second one, I'm gonna really get this ball to go dead to the left, which means my club face is gonna be very closed as I'm coming into this shot. This is not gonna be a good golf shot. It's not even supposed to be really a golf shot. It's just a face awareness drill. And once you get awareness of this face, now I can do whatever I want to with it. Here's the steps to make this work. Number 1, you're gonna feel like in the backswing, you really rotate these hands clockwise. So if I had a door handle, I'm gonna rotate the handle to the left, and now the logo of my glove is facing down. If I had it with my right hand, I'm gonna turn it to the left, the palm of my hand is facing down. So this would be kind of a normal backswing. I'm gonna rotate everything down, now the face is really closed. If I do that with a golf club, you'll see that as I go back, this would be a normal swing. I'm rotating it until everything is very closed here. So if I went back down to my impact, that would be face pointing way over to the left there. That's exactly what we want. So you're gonna feel like the logo of your glove is pointing out. Again, your hands are turning that doorknob to the left and everything is very closed here. As you come down and swing, I want you to visualize the sweet spot of your golf club being all the way on the outside of the golf ball. So if I swung, it would just go almost graze my left leg is the feeling that I'm gonna have. So very closed, close, close, close all the way through, get to the outside of the golf ball so it goes straight left. So let me show you what that would look like on just a little mini swing here. So just dead to the left. Again, 30, 40 yards is all we're doing. If you're seeing this ball barely go to the left, so if I make a swing and the golf ball looks like this, so just a little bit to the left, then I'm not doing nearly enough. Again, I want to feel like this thing is just shooting past my left leg. You're going to alternate 20 swings, 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Now, the alternation is what's really key here, because that's what's gonna allow your brain to feel the differences between face open and face closed. If I just try to do the closed one and the closed one only, it's not gonna work. Now, if those drills don't work and you need to get even more extreme, I got a couple more tips for you. That was the backswing, and that's the easiest way to do it. You kind of set it closed in the backswing and keep it closed coming on through. If you're still struggling, we're gonna close it in the backswing, just like we talked about. Hands turning to left, this club face closing, and then we're gonna close it even more in the downswing. So as you come through, imagine the hands rolling on over. So if you had something between your forearms, I want my forearms to roll over each other, and now you'll see the face of this club is pointing directly down to the ground. If I'm going toward the camera here, that would look like this. Close, 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 everything's closed in the backswing, and then in the downswing, it's gonna look like that. Faces down, this is logo down, forearms rolled over each other. So close going back, even more close coming through to really hook it. Now if you do that, that ball is going dead left here. Let me show you one real quick. So again, I'm trying to go more and more extreme. Whatever my feeling has to be is completely fine to make this happen. So I'm very closed, and then I'm rolling it on over. Almost like you're taking the logo of your glove and twisting it this way. High handicap golfers tend to take the glove and turn it this way to move the club through contact. That's a back and forth like that. Low handicap golfers tend to bow that wrist and turn it this way. So the palm of my hand is up and I'm releasing it. When I add the right hand in there, that's releasing it that way. So again, I'm very, very extreme, very exaggerated with this. As you can see, it's just going dead to left. It's very key that you do that. Do those 20 swings and we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so once we've done those reps, and to be honest with you, you don't have to do 20. 10 would be completely fine as long as they're successful. So if you're making them go left and you're making them go right, that's really all we're after. Once you've learned that and done it a few times, it's pretty easy to do. So you don't have to just go out there all day and hit a whole bucket like that. A few shots just to get awareness of the face, now you're ready to move on. Now the second piece, we have to get an awareness of the path now. So we know how to close and open the face from the drill we just did, turning the hand closed on the backswing, rotating on through, close in the forward swing. Now we have to understand how to get that pathway to the right, and then also what causes a pathway to the left. So imagine I'm swinging at this tee here, and I'm gonna actually make my path go way to the left. Imagine that if I was gonna keep my feet basically lined up like toward the target here, but I wanted to swing directly 90 degrees to the left. Well, what I'd have to do is my upper body would have to shift too far forward. Now all of a sudden my shoulders would have to open up this way. My foot would obviously have to come off the ground there, but then I would be able to swing directly to the left. So what I want you to do here, seems a little silly, but go ahead and put a tee down as though you were gonna hit that ball 90 degrees that way. So I'm gonna set up to where a normal golf shot would be. I'm gonna rotate my body to the left, and now all of a sudden I'm gonna swing that direction. So you'll notice what happens here. Look at my hips, very open. Look at my shoulders up over my front foot. They're pointing to the left, and that allows me to swing in that direction. You're doing that a little bit when you come over the top. Over the top players tend to get out in front of it. The body starts going this way. My shoulders start getting more over this lead leg, and that promotes a right to left over the top type path. Let's go the opposite direction now. I want you to turn 90 degrees this way, like I'm gonna hit toward the camera, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a tee down there also, just outside my right foot. So again, here's my normal ball. Feet are set up like I'm going down the fairway, and now I'm gonna go ahead and rotate, and I'll move because I put the tee down in the wrong spot, but I'd have to lift up my left foot. Now my chest is way over my right foot. I'd really be able to swing out to the right and hit that way. My weight would be more on my back foot. If you're over the top, your weight's on your left foot. If I'm coming from the inside, my weight stays on this back foot a little longer and then shifts forward. So you're naturally gonna do all these things. I could sit here and go over every single little tiny detail about what your feet, your hips, your shoulders, everything would be doing different, but I don't need to do all that. All I need to do is put a tee over here, an imaginary ball over here, and get you to make some swings where you're gonna swing directly out to the right. That's all you gotta do, it's that simple. So again, 20 swings. We're gonna do one way left and then immediately go one way to the right. You don't have to hit a golf ball when doing this, and you don't even really need the tees. You can do this right from your living room. Just try to get the swing path 90 degrees that way, 90 degrees that way. Then we're ready to move on to step number 3, because now we're gonna have complete control of the extremes of the path. All right, so finally, there's an obvious problem with what I've taught you so far. When I'm making my swing path to the right, that's fine, and we all could swing to the right, but now all of a sudden our ball would have to be way back here in the stance. If you're gonna swing with a really inside-out path, I'd have to have the ball way back here so that I can make that kind of swing direction. If my ball's up here, where it should be, kind of on my left foot with a driver, now my body's kind of in the way. I can't really get to that golf ball. And the reason for that is this. Whenever you're taking your normal swing and we're a little over the top, remember now, my hips are often behind my upper body and my shoulders. When we did that swing where I was way to the left, that's exactly what's going on. When you're having your over the top swing, that's what's happening. It's a little bit, the upper body is in front of the lower body, and that's promoting that over the top swing. So this is blocking you, my hips are blocking me from swinging more to the inside. So I try to swing to the inside, but I have this bad body alignment, and now my hips are jammed up and they're in the way. By making the swing 90 degrees to the right, we fix that. There's no way you can swing this direction with your hips in the way. I've had to clear my hips back this way, my shoulders got to the right of my hips, and now I could swing out in that direction. That's something you naturally do when you just try to swing that direction. But not really going to transfer over to hitting a good golf shot, because I'd have to have my ball way back here to get that big inside-out path. And if I wanted a little bit less of an inside-out path, I'd have to have it there. And by the time I get back up here again, it feels awkward. So here's what we're going to do. We have to learn to get the body out of the way to promote that inside path. I have to make a lot of room here so that I can hit this ball from the inside and have plenty of room for my club to travel that way. There's a very simple drill I have for this. So number 1, I'm gonna go ahead and set up, this would be my imaginary golf ball that I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna put one tee 6 inches behind that and another one 6 inches behind that. So I'm gonna set up as though this is the golf ball I'm gonna hit, this front tee. Then I'm gonna gradually work on swinging to the right and hitting each of those tees as I'm doing that. So again, I'm gonna get the same feeling I had when I was swinging this direction, really out to the right. I'm gonna try to clip this tee. Now, in order to do that, I have to get my hips out of the way. So I really want you to feel like this leg is angled in, and now you've created all this space here to allow your arms to swing to the right. And you'll see I can still get this really extreme. For now, let's go really extreme and get that ball swinging way, or that club swinging way out there to the right, and I'm gonna hit that back tee. Now, I move one tee forward, then I'm gonna have to go even more. My hips are gonna have to go even more out of the way, my shoulders are angled back, and now I've created all this room to where I can still swing, say 45 degrees to the right and hit that second tee. There we go, so now my body's getting out of the way for the first time. We're getting rid of this motion and getting in the opposite of that, which is, again, I'm going extreme here. I'm taking advantage of this interleaving to make things faster. And then finally, I'm gonna go to this front tee and do the exact same thing. Again, I have to make huge amounts of space, let my body clear out of the way to be able to hit that tee. I'm gonna swing it again 45 to the right, and you can see now how I could really make an inside-out swing that my hips are out of the way. So let's put this together now. We have the club face closing. We now have a new feeling of how to swing inside out. Let's just do both of them at the same time. So let's grab a golf ball here, and I want you to make a huge hook. I want you to feel like you're swinging 45 degrees to the right, way toward this house. I don't even know if you can see that in the frame, but almost out of the frame to the right. And then I want to have that club face closing down so that ball really hooks back. So if I do this correctly, I'm going to start this ball way over that pond, and I'm going to try to hook it back all the way into the left side of the fairway. Now, I may not get that extreme, but that's the feeling that I'm trying to get. So I'm closing in the backswing, creating this room in here to swing to the right, and I'm really letting that thing swing. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Oh, awesome. So that ball was a huge hook. Started kind of down the right side of the fairway, and it hooked all the way over to the left side of the fairway. So you'll see from my flight scope numbers there, the path or the direction I was swinging is way to the right, and my face is closing down to the left of that. That's how you get that big hook. Now I want you to go ahead and repeat that 5 more times. So again, if I'm not swinging far enough to the right, my goal is to get those shoulders lined up more behind my body, clear the hips out of the way, and then I can really have that path to the right. I want to feel like, and this isn't actually happening, but I want to feel like my club almost grazes my leg as I'm swinging through here, coming so far inside out. Let me go ahead and try this one again. I'm going to try to start it even more to the right and hook it even more on this one if I can. Let's give it a whirl. There we go. So I started that one kind of in the right edge of the fairway, and it probably hooked a good, I don't know, maybe 50 yards, something like that. And if we look at the flight scope again, we're gonna see the same thing. Pathway to the right and the face really closed, that's what creates the big hook. Don't be afraid of that. I wanna see big hooks from you at first. I want the more the better. If you can hook at 60 yards, hook at 60. That'd be fantastic at this point, because the next step, we're gonna straighten this out into a draw. All right, so here's the cool thing. Now that we've got these extremes and we're really trying to swing out there, I bet you can make what feels like a normal swing, and because you've made these such extreme exaggerations, your normal swing is gonna be pretty straight now. So I bet if you go ahead and you just take a normal swing, whatever you feel like, don't worry about any instruction, you're probably gonna be geared a little bit more toward a draw. So let's go ahead and give that a whirl. Yeah, and you can see there, I just hit a nice draw right down the middle of the fairway. Couldn't have hit one much better than that. Now the cool thing about this is that you now have control of it. We haven't thrown a Band-Aid on this. We've actually learned how to control the face. We've done some drills where it's really closed. We've done some drills where it's really open. You're starting to getting a feel, you're starting to develop a feel of what your hands and arms feel like to create an open and closed face. We also learned what it means to swing more from the inside out, how we have to create this pocket back here by angling our body, so now we have room to swing inside out. And if we want to go the other way, we even know what we have to do to come over the top. We create this pocket in the other direction. Shoulders get ahead, hips get back, and now I can swing to the left. So you have control over how to make a path to the right and the left. Now, when you have control of those two things, you can do whatever you want to do. If the ball starts to hook a little bit too much, you go a little bit more toward your fade swing and straighten it out. If the ball starts to slice a little bit too much, you go a little bit more toward your hook swing and start to straighten it out. So now you have the real tools to be able to solve any problem that you want to. All right, what a cool driving range, a cool course we're at here. This is Orange County National, home of America's largest driving range. This thing is pretty neat. It's over 400 yards across this with tee boxes all the way around. Really cool courses. They hold the Q School for the Corn Ferry Tour to get your PGA Tour card here this year. So really cool spot. Thought it'd be really fun to come out and shoot a video here. Well, in this one, I'm gonna talk about how you can shallow out your swing so that you stop coming down steep, and how that can really help you to unlock a lot of swing speed that you have built up inside. You'll see that if you're getting a little bit steep, it's usually a right arm wanting to push that club and accelerate the club. And early in the downswing, you're gonna see this club shaft is pointing well inside the golf ball. So if you look at where that's pointing, if I just kept swinging down that direction, I would slam this club into the ground 2-3 feet behind the golf ball. Obviously, that's not gonna work. So when this right arm gets overactive or active in the wrong way, we're gonna go over the right way here in a second. When it gets overactive in the wrong way, I have to slow down my swing, reroute this club shaft to get it kind of shallowed out. I usually stand up and flip to kind of help that action happen, and you lose a lot of swing speed. All that slowing down to reroute the club could have been acceleration if you're already in the slot, just accelerating, accelerating, accelerating all the way through the golf ball. That's what we're gonna go over in this video. Now, one of the biggest things that I see players struggle with, and they'll ask me, Clay, you know, I get that you're supposed to be shallowing this club out. I get that the logo of your left hand is toward the sky, that I want to kind of roll this arm in, but I just can't feel anything with my left hand. I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's why in this video, we're going to focus all in on the right hand. What does the right hand do? And I found that you're probably going to have a lot more success focusing on the right hand versus the left hand. Then you can kind of blend it all in together, and it's going to feel natural here after a while. So what I mentioned there and what happens when you're coming a little bit steep is typically in the takeaway, you're gonna bring the club inside, and then the right hand is gonna push that club into a steeper position here. Now, it doesn't mean that you're coming over the top. You may be steep and still coming from the inside, just standing up like that. That can be happening. It doesn't mean that you have an over-the-top slice. You may have an over-the-top slice, or you may even have a hook doing this. What we're talking about here is the steepness of the shaft. That's when that's club comes back a little inside, the right hand pushes the shaft steeper, and then from there we reroute. We want to reverse that. So go ahead and drop the club and just take your right hand. Now to dress, if I take it inside, my right wrist is bending back. These knuckles of my right wrist are bending back. That's called wrist extension. That's your knuckles towards your elbow. I want to feel like my right wrist is pretty flat as I'm going into the backswing. So I'm going to do a few reps feeling like it's flat, and then going ahead and making my swing. Now you can do these right from your living room. Go ahead and make a good 10 or 15 swings, just focusing on that. We're gonna build this in a progression, layer by layer. I don't wanna go ahead and do everything all at once. We gotta make a few swings to get comfortable with this. So here, I'm just gonna focus in on my right wrist being flat in the first part of the backswing. I'm gonna do that by turning my body and letting that move the club versus me picking it up with my hands and wrists and dragging it to the inside. So I'm gonna do 10 or 15 practice swings like that, and then I'll go ahead and hit a golf ball here. There you go, another one, nice and solid. That would be down the left center of the fairway there, so good swing. So do the practice swings, then go ahead, if you're at a driving range, hit a few balls doing that. If you're at home, just do the practice swings and you'll be well on your way when you go to the driving range. Now piece number 2, let's add to that now. Go through this progression. My right wrist is flat going back, and you can kind of see that would be kind of flat, or like I was shaking someone's hand here. As I start down, here's what I want you to feel, and this is exaggerated, but this is really key to shallowing it out. I want you to feel like as your body opens, your palm is toward the sky. So that's really gonna take this club from here to there in the downswing. Now that's exaggerated, that's too much. You're not gonna get that shallow, and I don't want you to, but that's the feeling you're gonna have as you finish the backswing and start the downswing to really get that club to move in the proper way. Now from there, I'm gonna do another 10 or 15 practice swings, and that's really gonna help me to come more from this way. Now the mistake that I think a lot of people assume is that if I get this club more from the inside, that means I'm gonna swing way out to the right, and that's simply not the case. My hand is opening up, and then I'm gonna be releasing that to square up the face. Once my palm opens, that's in a good shallow inside position, and now I'm gonna release it. This is what all the great pros are doing that I see a lot of players that struggle don't do. They're taking this club from the inside and then releasing that to square it up. So my palm goes from open here to square, releasing through the target, and then coming on through. If you're looking at it from the camera angle here, my palm's going from open to going ahead and releasing to square, and then coming on through. So I'm gonna do a good 10 to 15 reps of that. Let's go ahead and hit another golf ball here, and notice how that club definitely shallows out in the transition. And I'm coming from the inside, but I'm not hitting a massive hook or really swinging way out to the right. I'm swinging squarely through the ball because I'm releasing that hand. Let's go ahead and try it out here. There we go, pretty solid. So the last piece of this, and the final question I get here is, well, won't my club face be open if I do that? So when my palm is up, won't this face be open and out of position here? And actually, to solve that, that is true. You're gonna get a little bit of this move. Some people call it the motorcycle move, where you're twisting your wrist. That would be me turning this club this way. But that move, when I'm shallow, this is closing the face. So if I took this club and I twist it toward the camera, that's closing the face, that's opening the face. So I want to have that palm up and my knuckles back like that. That's really the key. That's the last piece that kind of ties this in together. I'm getting the club from the inside, and then I'm getting those knuckles back to square the face up. So that looks like this. Again, all 3 pieces together. I'm gonna go really slow for you. Backswing, wrist is nice and flat. That's gonna get me on a great backswing position. Second piece, as I finish my backswing and start my downswing, I'm gonna feel like my palm is up toward the sky. Third piece, I'm squaring that up. So as I open my hand, my knuckles are rolling back, so it looks like this. I'm gonna go real slow and show what that would look like. That's why you see so many pros with their left wrist bowed. That's why you see so many pros with this elbow tucked in. That's why you see so many pros coming from the inside. It's that wrist move that I'm talking about there. Get those 3 pieces together. Again, make another 10 or 15 swings, and you're gonna really be able to feel like now from the top of the swing, you can accelerate all the way through the downswing because you don't have to reroute it. The club is already shallowed out on the angle that it needs to be on in the downswing. So let's go ahead and crank one more here. See just how far I can get this one to go. I'm really gonna accelerate through it. All right, I hit that one, awesome. All right, so that last move I talked about there, this knuckles in, I know a lot of players struggle with that, and I don't want you to struggle with it. I actually have a very simple solution for that. And I mentioned earlier, this is what I call the move. And I have a special video that's gonna show you exactly how to do that wrist. Another really cool trick that's gonna help you to get that down. So work through the drills in this video and then pop over to this bonus video I'm gonna play here in a second. all you need to do is click the card that pops up on your screen, somewhere up here in your screen, or your link down below in the description. You're gonna get that secret tennis racket drill that's gonna help you to get that wrist move down so you don't struggle with it and you can start cranking some drives right away. Good player problems. We're gonna talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it, the flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time, I'm going to be rotating my hand.